Prof, this is Norbert from the Daily Nation.
Okay.
And we are here to hear from you after a very lengthy silence. So to begin with, what brought you to Nairobi this time?
My health. My health. I have been staring at books from 1945, from 1945. It is almost 70 years of staring at books. And sometimes, like in Iowa, I used to study, keep awake, work intellectually for 36 hours without sleep. So I think the eyes, the natural functions of the eyes were already exhausted. That is one problem. I had problem with my eyes. And then, of course, I had malaria. There are some malarias in Juba which don't get cured. You try to erase it from your life, but it keeps on coming back. Yeah. When you think you have finished it all, you will find that tomorrow you are down again. So I was told by my doctor to come to Nairobi, have a little bit of a checkup, and then a rest afterwards. And I'm glad to say both have worked. So my health is improving, but not so easily. Some doctor yesterday told me, please, Prof, don't rush too fast. It doesn't come back quickly. Sickness comes very, very quickly, and then it goes slowly. So I've accepted that one too. But there are certain times when, like today, I have to come for this interview because there are certain things which will have to be done in my life even when I'm sick and I'm lying down on my bed, and this is one of them.
So thanks a lot, Prof. We are sorry for all that, and we wish you a quick recovery.
Okay.
In fact, we are very glad to see you on your feet, at 83. That is not such a thing to be taken for granted.
As a matter, let me add, in real life, yes. I was born in 1936, so I am actually 86.
Oh.
Me and the Pope.
86.
We are 86.
I see.
Yeah. Okay.
So our sources tell us that there is a book in the pipeline.
Yeah.
What is this book about?
It is a book about the Greeks, human beings of Greek nature. Because somehow or other, on this topic, most people would have wanted me to talk about a book which has something to do with the Siaya and other things, where my friends Atieno Diambo and others come from. But no, this time it is about another place altogether. So it is not because we have run short of topics, but it is just that in the homes of kings, in the homes of traditional African chiefs, you don't find pure children because the kings collect a lot of wives, and therefore the king, who is a real king, will have an English woman as one of the wives. He would have a Greek woman also as a wife. He would have an American woman as a wife. So there are certain times that wife is a wife. If he falls in love with one of them, one woman in somebody's home, he will go to get her. Sometimes they have to fight in order for him to have it. So that is what is happening. I have fallen in love with the Greeks for a long time. Greek culture was made by techniques which were got from the Greeks, no, from the Egyptians. So that is what happened. So the Greeks took them to Europe, and then they were journalists like you, and they say each time they find something, instead of saying, I learned that this one when I was in the nation. They said, this one I thought about it by myself, by my head. It had nothing to do with anybody. The Greeks did not want to acknowledge any work by some other people. But they were getting them from the Greek, from the Egyptians. So I liked the Greeks. Okay. And especially in literature, there was a man called Homer, and he wrote two very beautiful books. One was the Iliad, and the other one was, let us go ahead. We will be speaking in its context when the time comes. So that is what is happening. And then I went to Iowa, the University of Iowa one time, and we got to discussing literature. And this guy, there was a girl, a very bright girl, and we started discussing literature. And I found out that Homer never allowed the women of Greece to speak. He only cared for the generals, the men, children, and so on and so forth. But nothing like making one of the women a hero, like Shakespeare would do. So, and then I said, okay. But when I read that book, especially the Odyssey, I found that no, there were women there who deserved to have argued with those generals. So that is what I did. And then some of the women, they strangled their general wife, a husband, in a bathtub. A whole general was strangled in the bathtub. Because the woman was so bad, so mad, that her husband had not cared very much about her, because some god of the sea said, wait, this war, which you want to win so badly, you are not going to win it, because I don't want it won so easily. You laughed at me the other time, so you are going to stay in that sea by Troy for 9 years. In the 10th year, you can then win. So 9 years, one group stayed outside Troy, not fighting, not doing anything, playing games. Olympic games maybe, or football games, or so on and so forth. So that is what happened. And then that God said, you sacrifice your daughter to me. Then I will leave you the wind that will carry the 1,000 ships. And you agreed to do it. Do you think that woman was your own child? Didn't I even have 9 months of carrying her in my stomach? Did you have to do it without even coming for me for apology or trying to ask me, my wife, this is a different thing, this is a difficult thing, this thing has to be won, this war has to be won, otherwise the Greeks will not count in history. So that is what happened. But he did kill his daughter. He himself was the one who slaughtered his own daughter. So that is something which I think in a play or in a novel would deserve the heroine. Yeah, so that other thing. Okay.
Now that prompts me to pick your mind.
Okay.
On thoughts that you've previously expressed in regard to publishing in Africa, especially given that on record you previously lamented that some of your publications have since gone out of print.
Yeah.
And in that scenario, you've been very categorical on placing blame at the doorstep of the African publisher. In your view, the African publisher is not doing enough to advance intellectual development in Eastern Africa. They have been carried away by the chase for cash in their trade. Then my question is, do you still hold these views, or have things changed since the last time you expressed them?
Well, I will tell you one thing. Publishing in Africa was a bit artificial because we did not know how to publish. Publishing was a new thing. When we, instead of learning how to publish, and then technically, and then the other one is to say, okay, quality, do we know how to identify quality? And then thirdly, if you only think about Africans being your writers, have you created the African who can write very, 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 you heard it written, very, very, very good books? Yes, we were still learning. We should accept it. There are certain things which are new, which is something which are still new. Like now, there is a book, that one which is going to be launched. That one was printed this year in South Africa by a South African publisher. Not publishers, but publisher. But publishing has been going on for years, and he has been publishing magazines and other things for years. So he's a professor of literature in Rhodes University. So he had learned how to publish. But he is also a professor, so he already knew how to write technical and generic. Like writing short stories, writing this and that, and so on and so forth. He also knew how to do those. All right? So when he decided that I now want to write, I now want to publish, he had to look for the authors to publish. And then I know my Greek very, very well. He dared at that time to say, okay, John Jackson, Professor John Jackson, yes, you are the professor of Greek literature at Rhodes. Can you have a look at this book by this African? Does he know exactly the stories of the Greeks? And of course, he said, yes, I'll do it. He ended up learning more from me than criticizing my work. And at the end, he agreed, when I said so, to write the introduction to that book out of honor, to say you have been given a difficult task when actually, as a matter of fact, the two of us, we could argue endlessly without this and that. So that is done. Now, most of my colleagues who are angry with manuscripts rotting in the boxes, they decided now, if you get enough money, go and pay the printer. So it becomes self-appointed work. It is bad, but it is good. Unfortunately, I don't know the quality of the books that are published by the authors themselves. I don't know. And I don't know whether we African writers have been easily coaxed into agreeing to have our books read by experts. I don't know whether we know what experts are. I don't know, like, of the many universities we have, whether there are professors who deserve to have what are now called Professor Emeritus. Yeah. In my country, South Sudan, we do have emeritus professor, bishops.
Yes.
Emeritus.
Yes.
That is when a professor has reached the age of 80 or something, we should honor him to say, you now belong to the elders. Yeah. Let the children go ahead, only have a look at something and say, okay, you children, we want to hear you argue about it. Can you argue in our presence so that we can point out who has done well and who has not done well and so on and so forth. That is what is needed. But we don't know, I don't know whether any of our professors has been asked by anybody else to say, okay, this work, I want to do it. I want to do it. Do you feel it? That is saying yes. So this is what we are saying, that I am admitting it on behalf of the African professors, that we who started the 1965 revolution, 69, me and myself and Bitek and Wara Nyumba, we criticized the white men, but some of those white men really did not deserve what they got. Yeah, there were few professors of literature then, but not so many now. Not every university had professors now, and because we have become a junior lecturer, then you become a lecturer, then you become a senior lecturer, then you become a reader. In our time, you have to be a reader first, before you become a professor. A reader, yeah, a reader, and then after that, you can become a full professor, and then Professor Emeritus. I don't know whether any African university has been following those orders. Where we got them from, there were very many stages which we had to follow. In England. That in our time, when I came to University of Nairobi in 1968, it was Princess Margaret, the Queen's sister, who was the Chancellor of East African Technical College here. And Princess Margaret was the visitor. They were called visitors, right? Then when Musehe became the president of Kenya, he also inherited that title of visitor. Members of Parliament, some very, very bright ones, said, look at these lecturers, either lecturers or students of Nairobi University. They were calling our president a visitor, as if they were the one to invite His Excellency the President and so on and so forth. No. Where this idea of a university came from, the visitor is a spirit who comes visiting. And during that time, everybody is trembling because you don't know who is coming. That is a visitor. He comes there, the rest of the time, his spirit will be hovering over the university. He was a visitor for the university. So he doesn't waste time coming to the university every time. He only comes there, and say, okay, these little boys or these little girls, they don't know how things are going on or should be going on. Let me go there and put my stamp on this thing. So that is that. Unfortunately now, they took away the word visitor from the university. So the spirits have flown away, and I don't know what we do.
Very well, Prof.
Okay, all right. Okay.
And I want us to, still on the same topic,
Mm-hmm.
I want us to hit the high road.
Okay.
Because just across here is the University of Nairobi.
Yeah.
And your roots are very deeply entrenched in that university. Now, listening to you, my reading of your statement is that publishers should engage experts in manuscripts evaluation. But then elsewhere, I have read a lot of arguments, and my understanding is that your position is that one qualification that one should have before he calls himself an intellectual or a scholar is to publish. Okay? On the other hand, your detractors have offered a counter-argument. According to them, the work of the literature scholar is to teach, critique, and theorize, matters pertaining literature. Yeah? But you insist that they are supposed to write and publish. In fact, according to you, writing and publishing should be considered the co-qualifications before one is appointed as an associate professor. So how is it that today you are encouraging publishers to get experts from universities to review manuscripts when, in your view, and that is on record, they should themselves publish first before they say anything on manuscripts?
Well, my problem again is this.
Yes.
My problem is this. If the national university is a national university of a mature country, like some of the European countries, which have excellence in their countries, and they've forgotten when they got independence from anybody else, or when they started their roots, sank their roots, that would be true. That the lecturer can become a lecturer, and the lecturer can then become. If that lecturer is good at teaching, delivering on the stage, retaining the information he has to give to the students, even if it means 3 hours of lecturing, and he can lecture without opening his notes, then that's fine. Because we have seen it, that this professor, whatever he has done, has always been good. He has always produced. He is giving them very, very serious matters. Very, very serious matters. So let him do it. Leave him to talk. And give him the title professor. Because he knows his stuff inside out.
Now,
Wait, I'm coming to that. Here, we Africans we started looking around and said, no, leave this thing out, take these things out, take these things out. This will make it difficult for us to reach the professorship. We are going to, they will leave it to only the English people will become the professors. English people will become the professors. So we shall never become professors. So let us forget about this thing, which is the easiest thing. Hey, why don't you put all your notes together and take them to some printer and print them, then you can come and say, okay, here are my publications. The publication is actually technical material for teaching in the classroom. That one does not deserve to be taken to a meeting where your qualities as a literary critic are. No, That is when they want to go and say, let us test him. We used to do the same in when we are teaching teachers. They would go and then they would have the practical teaching practice.
Yes.
Yeah, that is just practice. You are preparing your papers for technical practice. For those classes only. This has nothing to do with his high scholarship. Yeah. Because some of the universities now, anybody who before he comes back there, if he had been teaching in a junior college, he also adds that to it to say that I published, and so on. Let me put it this way. Let the Vice Chancellors not think that I'm on their side on this matter, but I am more concerned about national standard, that the best work that you can take to present, to make your standard, your level of intellect assessed, are not the notebooks which you use for teaching in the classroom. Yeah, and in that case, I am I'm talking this on behalf of the students, because they are not being given good brains to work for them. They are presenting anything that has come from their kitchen. Yeah, this thing should be the best thing. They say in African countries, like Gulu, the maker of pot, eats from broken shards. Yeah, because people who want the good ones will come and take them away. So you can't find it in the kitchen. Yeah, that is not where you find them. Yeah, the person, any technician would prefer to show his work off somewhere. That is what is needed. And this is what I think we should be thinking of. This is what we should think of.
Okay. Just a follow-up. Way back in 2013, many years gone by, there was a conversation where you said some not very palatable things about Professor Lo Liyong. And your statement.
Unfortunately, I never said some of those things. Okay, continue that sentence.
Now, whatever you said then elicited a lot of reactions. And one of the literary figures who responded to your statements was the late Professor Chris Wanjala. And in his response to your utterances, he said many things. For instance, he accused you of being unproductive. According to him, you hoard manuscripts, or you've been hoarding manuscripts from as early as 1965. Your days in Iowa, right? And then you unleash these manuscripts one after the other, like a witch doctor, or something like that. So where exactly do you stand? Are you rooting for academic publications or creative publications, for people in the academy? Should these professors publish creative works, or should they lean a lot towards the publication of academic papers? Yes. Because according to you, again, sorry for cutting you short, you went ahead and said that you've been patient enough with people who don't read, people who only write guidebooks. And they call themselves literature scholars. So where are we, Prof? Is there any change?
Yeah, the first change is this, that actually I would prefer to have evidence. When did I say those things? When did I make any serious information statement of that nature? In which book? In which journal? in which newspaper did I actually write those things.
Now, let me just point out. In fact, what I've quoted are your words from an article that you wrote in 2013 for the Nation newspaper. And the title of that article had something to do with you being one of the best essayists, which really is not in doubt. You're one of the best. So the title, I think, in that title, you placed yourself among the top 5 best essayists. I don't know whether you remember that one.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but it's available online.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, bring me a copy. Because I have a problem. That is why I was angry even within the nation. There were people there. Apparently, I didn't know that this existed. There were 2 schools of thought on Ngugi. He had his lovers and he had his detractors. And some of them were hibernating in the newspapers. And then whatever I'm supposed to have said, whether I said it like this or whether they forgot it, when they reach there, when they're producing the best thing, say, okay, what does this help? Where does it come in as a help? I wish with things of that nature, they got the actual manuscript, all that I said. I wish I got them, but I've never seen those matters. Like again, the one where I was here when journalists came from a nation or from wherever, and they said I had to say that Ngugi was poor or that. As far as I was concerned, you don't compare eggs, as I said, with anything which is round. And you say, okay, take this one, use the egg also, just go and knock it and then put it on the fire. Yeah, I did not say those things. I said that the categories were different. And another time I came here, I was saying something, they chose their own answer, their own way of putting it on my side. And then I think I would prefer, if ever they had presented to me a copy of that magazine or of that article before they printed it, and then I would read it and I would say, no, this is not what I mean, and I was entitled to compare it. Okay.
No.
Then wait, let me add some more things to that. I didn't know, but I don't know, that I have my category in the minds of the journalists of Kenya. And Ngugi also has got his, those who love him and those who don't love him. And therefore, they were, each group was like a football team, praising its own team and so on, so making them do different and all that and so on. And now, at that time, when this thing does happen, in the week on Saturday or on Sunday, I saw this article, said, no, this is not what I say. And then I made it my, if I had been given that paper, if I had seen it, I would have barred it. Yeah, I would have barred it because I would not love to publish it if it was that bad. But I never actually said it. But both of us, me on this side, the journalists on that side, they are there and they keep on sharpening the net because they wanted to sell the paper. Fine, let them do so. Anyway, let us go on from there.
Yeah, so you and Ngugi are contemporaries way back from 1969 when you masterminded a curriculum revolution at the University of Nairobi.
Yeah. That one
initiated a completely new approach to the teaching of literature.
Yeah.
Beginning from Kenya, then to East Africa, then diaspora Africa, then the rest of the world. Now, since then, Ngugi has come close to winning the Nobel more than once. Still on Ngugi, what in your view could be this one obstacle that stands forever between Ngugi and the Nobel?
No, this is not a must. It is not a must that an African should win it. It is not a must. This thing is not an African prize to be given only to Africans. This thing is a world article, only world organization. Nobel has invented this thing that kills, that explodes, and it exploded and it killed a lot of things. And then he said, no, how can I atone for my sins? And he said, okay, in that case, let me create a body that will look for ways of making the world more peaceful. Because he had seen the danger of the First World War, and he didn't like what he did. He didn't like to see how, from his own brain, people had gone to shoot one another and exploded some of the worst bombs. He said, no, this is not good. But it is not easy to put it back. So let us ask the brightest brains of the world to find some ways of making suffering less bearable, more bearable. That is what they did. Okay, so they are more interested in telling the world how human beings can use literature. Can use literature to plant the minds of the killers of human beings by creating some other things of say, okay, let us do this, let us do that, let us do that. Now, I don't know what the Nobel Prize group say concerning the oral literature, for example, because there are certain aspects of literature which are dangerous, and some articles, some of them which are not dangerous. I, for one, for example, and now when I look at literature, and some of us think that oral literature or folktale is the best place where we can go and look for this thing. I looked at them and I found that, hey, if you are not careful, if you are from Senegal and you want to praise some epic characters from there, remember that character actually chased his own uncle away. And they say the uncle went and entered into a borehole, an ant-hill borehole, when he was running to the east. Whether that character ran, or his people ran all the way up to South Sudan, I don't know. But in Senegal, and Guinea, there are people called Mandinka. Whether they are related to Mandingo, whether they are related to our Mandinka, I don't know. But the same people say, call 10, call 1, we kuku, and Bari and so on, call the kuku, call 1, Gla, and we call it Geleng. In linguistics, the relationship between those two is not very far. Whether we, the kuku, call 10 here, work. And when kuku also call Pu, so that Monday, these are called Monday Pu. And then these are Monday work. Whether me, a kuku, are more Dinka than a Dinka, because we say 10 here, and the original Dinka in Guinea is that I don't know. But when you consider all the technique, the people, the characters in portrait, whether, because they say in history, it is the winner whose story ends being written. Yeah, the story of the winner is the person who has got people who are going to continue praising him. And if in the same class there emerges somebody who is a son to the uncle of the loser, how does the loser feel about this story about how my grandfather lost? That is a difficult thing. So that I'm not very sure now about epics as well as the heroes in epics. Yeah, I don't know. And then with this Greek epics that I'm talking about, is it the winners who chased away the people of Troy who are to be praised? Or what? All right? So when we are praising, when we are telling people about this thing, it's easy to say, hey, look at him, and we taunting the winner to say, in the past, you used some techniques in order to defeat our people and so on and so forth. I don't know, but I'm sure that the Swedes have their way of judging for Nobel. And I don't know whether they judge twice, because they don't tell anybody. They don't tell anybody that this year's winner is so-and-so, or that so-and-so nominated so-and-so. They don't. That is their own secret. Although we as canvassers for our characters, for our candidates, we would like to win. And the question is, by the time they end up judging, haven't they had enough time before of finding out how good or how bad, or not the bad goodness in writing, but some of the utterances? Because we had Chinua Achebe, I understand, had an argument with some of the judges, and one of the judges is supposed to have said that you are not going to get this thing. We don't know. but those are there. And the reason why, we don't know. So that is how it is. Let us leave the white man alone with this. If he wants to give it to us, we can accept it. If he doesn't want to give it to us, he can have it. But if you, one day, become rich enough, you can start your own Nobel Prize for literature, and then that will be it. And then you can give it to anybody according to you. So I don't know.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Now, in regards to the department you initiated at the University of Nairobi, the Department of Literature.
Yes.
And we are standing at 86.
Okay.
You are at 86.
Yeah.
So in retrospect, has that department amounted to what you and your contemporaries envisaged? Or are you out of touch with the department?
Well, I put it, let me start by my contribution.
Yes.
One of my contributions was I was also an unseen and a classic of Asian literature. So in that document, I wanted the literature department here to teach Indian literature, Japanese literature, and Chinese literature. And the Indian, for reasons unknown to themselves, did not accept it. They did not get involved. Whether they had lost money or more time and they did not have the work, I don't know. But the Indians, at least, they made that library a home for Gandhi. In my time, there was, on the way to the library, inside the library, in case you don't know, I was there from 68 to 75. Yeah. So there was Gandhi there.
It is still there.
Yeah, it is still there. That is what we did. And then there was somebody there. There was a building called somebody by there was an Indian name.
Mahatma.
No, not Mahatma. There was another one. I will get the name. That fellow, they used to have parties on Fridays and Saturdays for the Indians. Indians would book it. So when they book it, they are ready for eating all the Indian music, Indian literature, and the cultures that they have, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, that ended up to be the only thing that the Indians would do. When we are here, when I first came, Indians were staying in the dormitories. African and Indians stayed together in the early dormitories. Yeah. Because the Indians had argued that as we would not like to have our children to be in the dormitory, we would like to have the boys, the children, to stay across the street. That is why they were across the street, so that they can come to learn and then go back to look at after the kitchen, after the shops, and so on and so forth. So that was what we did. And unfortunately, a lot of money used to be spent on building European schools. And the money was a lot. When I came back to East Africa in 68, I thought I was going to find an English child raised in Kenya, educated in Nairobi University, educating fellow Kenyans in Nairobi. I didn't find him. And up to now, I don't know whether there is any Englishman who is teaching now in Nairobi University researching or teaching in those buildings. And I said to myself, look at this. What was the reason for building such beautiful houses? Yeah, and it has not given us students to study and teach and pass education. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but anyway, that is what happened. And then, of course, the people who came, there were some Indians from Uganda and from here, and so on. And then the age mate of Police Wanjara, educated in Kenya here, it was fine. I hear say it said, you don't fight a dead man. So I'm not going to fight him. Though I also don't say he is one-sided, because he wrote something called the Tabanic genre. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I thought he was showing that he was developing some talents to become acquainted, because he also tried his hand at writing a book. So, but that does not matter much. I think for those who have gone, like Police Wanjara, I don't want to worry about them, except that he has left scholars with the text of the Tabanic genre, which is part of his speech. So what does he want people to think about it? I don't know. Should I say he tried his best? Whether that best means, whatever it means, whoever reads it. I think that is what I say. Okay. I can't go further than that.
Okay, on the same note, because when we mention Indians, Indian literature, Japanese literature, we are talking culture.
Okay.
So by extension, I'll just be picking echoes from what you previously said. There's that famous, or quote unquote, infamous statement about the status of literature in Eastern Africa. We believe we live in a literary desert. Does this still hold to date, or things have changed for the better?
No, I put it this way. At that time, I went to that state in 1962. I took a year in a university called Knoxville College in Knoxville, Tennessee, and then I got the next year I went to Howard University, not Harvard, Howard University. So when I went to Howard University, which is a school, Howard University is a university which the present Vice President of the United States chose also as her bachelor's degree university. And I think it has not done bad for her, just as in a way it has not done bad for me. Or we did not let ourselves down in Howard. Yeah, we did not let ourselves down. Why didn't we leave ourselves down? I said, okay, this Howard University is the highest university for the Black Americans. It was originally built by this were Nobel, like him. So, okay. Let us now, after slavery, let us now rebuild the Black American. So let us build the best university. So in Washington D.C. there was a school there was a university for the blacks who studied in Washington D.C. Yeah, the people who built it, they tried to put into it the best brain that they could remember, the best brain that they could have. So that is what was done. We did very well. I had some philosophical friends. I went to that university, and I was put qualified to become a member of the honors class. We had our own classroom for lectures by the best black brains in our university from different classes. And I used to sit there. Outside the door, there was a slave, shackled. They sat down a black American slave whose hands were tied and whose feet were tied. Done by Michelangelo. And so it was like, all of you black Americans, when you are coming here, know that symbolically you are coming with your chain in your feet and your legs. So I saw it so. So we are coming here with the brain which are still shackled. So let us do our little best. So what I did was to say, okay, Oxford University, can you send me your literature department blue book, literary book, the list of things to be studied there in English literature. Okay, Shepherd, Cambridge, and others, and from Scotland. Yeah, bring us to us also. Okay, the people of France, 2 schools, 1 or 2 schools in Russia, and so on. I mean, I gave myself a chance to benefit from all the subjects, all the books which were considered very, very important. So I picked some. Said, okay, now I'm telling you this, you people there, here I am, a shackled person. As your children are studying these things in your schools, I am going to study it as if I was amongst them. So, because when I finish with reading these books, when they say, okay, he studied literature, English literature, in Howard University, or that black American university. Say, no, you can't do something like that about me. Because let us be given a test with all those people. Then we shall see. Because I did not limit myself to reading the books only in Howard University. I was reading the books which were also being used for English literature in the master's home school. That was what I did. And therefore, I never gave a chance to, the master's son. Master's son, has he actually opened those books also? Or is he going to say, okay, what is that standing of Oxford University this year? What about this and that and that and that? No, you can't say that about me because I am there. So that is what I did. And therefore, I have never let down my standard which I created in Harvard University. When I went to the University of Iowa, I had a room for myself. And sometimes I used to sit there 36 hours studying without sleep. Exactly, without sleep. And so on. To the extent that we said to our wives, the other wife had difficulty, but this one is struggling. Yeah. We said, wife, you are wife number 2. You are wife number 2.
Books come first.
Books come first. I have a test of the world, whether a man, black man, dedicating himself to the world of knowledge can make it and it can show. Can he make it and can it show? And it looks as if the more I struggled, the more my brain helped me to remember it and so on and so forth. I didn't know that I was going to be able to talk this much.
So
but as you said, I've been quiet for a long time.
Yes.
So maybe they all came back again. Yeah.
So in short, looking back today, is Eastern Africa still the literary desert that you saw then?
Yeah. No.
Are we changing? Are we making steps in the right direction?
No. Get a copy of After Troy. Find your way through it and find out what is it that I planted there.
I will.
Yeah. So that was what I did.
Then my second last question.
Okay.
On record, you reminisced once how you were hounded out of the University of Nairobi because, in your view, the Kenyan scholars are xenophobic. Or they were then. So they drove the likes of Uganda, the likes of Liyong, the likes of Tech, the whole lot.
Yeah.
They were not comfortable with people who, in your words, were more superlatively endowed than them. You went away, I think, to Japan or South Africa, but then you resurfaced. And when you came back, you were disappointed because you realized then that the production that we had in Kiswahili literature was way way above the production we had in English literature.
Yeah, it is the same in Arabic and English in the University of Nairobi or University of Khartoum. Yes, the Arabic scholar is very, very serious. Yeah, about qualifying, about learning, about mastering. Yeah, but we are lax. We take things very, very easily. And that I've not been very, very happy when our own Africans let us down. So what am I supposed to say? To say they are my children, so I must defend them? Somebody here told a South Sudanese quote-unquote scholar,
yes,
that Taban Lo Liyong is no poet. He doesn't rhyme. Look at this. Can we produce any rhyme in our African languages? How did he expect me to get rhyme from? There is rhyme and there is rhythm. Africans, in our songs, in our dances, we do rhythm. That is why we can do Can you write that one down? Can you write that down? Yeah, some of these things which do not need to be written and so on and so forth. But Jewish literature is Jewish literature. It is more rhythmic and so on and so forth. And I said, no, this guy doesn't know that in the English literature that he knows, there are books called non-rhyming poems. Non-rhyming poems. How does rhyme alone qualify and disqualify? Yeah. So I said, sorry, I sympathize for you. And when he came to South Sudan, I gave her that book. Said, would you like to look at this book for a month? Yeah. Since you disqualified me from being a poet, can you read this thing and find out whether it is right or wrong? Because he said that it was a professor in Nairobi University who said that because I don't write, I am not a poet. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Then finally, Prof. Of course, I've got one, a footnote, which will come finally.
Okay.
The last question. Recently, we read about your suspension at the University of Juba.
Yes.
Then we tried to contextualize the suspension. They accused you of putting the reputation of the university at stake. Then went ahead and said that as a scholar, you are imbalanced when you get sucked into the social affairs that go on within the country. We saw what you said in response to all those. But then my question is, what do you think? What is your position? Should a scholar be aloof within the society in which he lives? Shouldn't a scholar pay attention to what is going on around him, the way you did? Or should a scholar focus entirely on academics? Because that is what the University of Juba, from their accusations against you, wanted you to do.
Well, I don't know whether that is what they wanted me to do or the ground for justifying my being put down. Yeah, I don't know which one is which. And for that one, you have to ask him. Yeah, he's still alive. I'll put it this way. I am a human being with the feelings. And the biggest feeling is for humanity. The knowledge I have has to be used for saving mankind. Somehow or other, there were some movements which were taking place, which were rising in South Sudan. And said, you have a problem. That's what it is. You have seen it, so you can't plead that you didn't know. You saw it coming. You saw it coming. If I was the maker, I would say, after I have given you the ability to see what is coming, if you allowed this creation, rise of very many nations within the nation, after you've seen it coming and the implications, and what did you do? Why didn't you do something about it? If my grandchildren in future come and say that this thing happened in the time of writer for South Sudan, Taban Lo Liyong, allowed it to happen without even a footnote. If we didn't say something about it, what was he a father for? Why did I give him the brain? Why did he give him the children? Why did I do this and that? So I wrote down this thing I'm going to write. I've seen danger ahead. I have been to a Negro university. I know what slavery is, and I am seeing my children being led into the slavery that these blacks were being rescued from. And when I wrote it to the President of America, he knew what slavery is. And he also saw it the direction into which that type of thinking was leading. Mm-hmm. He also saw it. And he said, straight, I suspect. I don't know. But I think he said, quick, go and stop it. Here is a cruel devil. The cry from the heart. The cry from the heart said, please stop this thing for us. The Christian evangelists in America were approached by priests of South Sudan. Say, come and help us from the Arabs, from Islam. Now, you, Taban, you are the only one who does not have a religion, and you are seeing this thing coming. All right? Is it because we don't have a religion? Is it because of this and that and that? Or if you did it, they will say, under what religion is this? So that is why I did it. But and you will have heard that one, that I did not say that it is that article of mine only which created it, which stopped the rise of very many states, which is not that one. There was also the vice president who had threatened, who was already fighting, but he also was that, and fortunately, the president said he stopped the rise and he returned the nation to the 10 states so that Machar would not go back to the bush. And therefore, if it did stop Machar from going back to the bush, I don't care. If they said, Taban Lo Liyong, it was not your article. Yeah, it was not your article. Maybe your article was one of the reasons why he agreed. Yeah, so those are the things that I did. Even my saying this now, all right? If they want to do what they want to do, if they think it is the best thing to do, they can still kill me. Full stop.